Welcome back, everyone. The night began like any other night in America. Streets were quiet, homes were warm, phones were charging beside beds, and millions of people drifted into sleep believing tomorrow would look exactly like today. There was no sense of danger in the air, no breaking news banner, no emergency broadcast. The sky was calm, almost innocent, stretched endlessly above a nation that had grown used to feeling untouchable. But history does not announce itself politely at 2:17 a.m. Eastern Time, deep beneath layers of reinforced concrete and digital firewalls, America's earliest warning systems detected something wrong. At first it looked like interference, a glitch, a cluster of fast, moving objects appearing and disappearing too quickly to be properly tracked. Operators blinked, adjusted filters, recalibrated sensors. Then the same pattern appeared again, sharper this time, faster, lower, more aggressive. The room fell silent. These were not aircraft, not satellites, not weather anomalies. The signatures matched something far more dangerous. Hypersonic objects, moving at speeds beyond Mach 5, hugging the atmosphere, maneuvering in ways traditional missile defense systems were never designed to predict. Within seconds, multiple command centers confirmed it. This was an attack. Phones rang across secure facilities. Red lights ignited. Officers who had trained their entire lives for scenarios they hoped would never come suddenly found themselves living inside one. The words spoken were short and controlled, but the meaning behind them was terrifying. The United States was under direct assault. There had been no warning from Tehran, no speech, no threat broadcast to the world, no last-minute ultimatum. Just silence followed by fire. As alerts raced through the chain of command, the president was awakened and rushed toward the Situation Room. Outside, the night sky began to change. High above the Atlantic coastline, streaks of light tore through darkness, burning the air itself as defense interceptors launched upward. Some targets exploded mid-flight, scattering glowing debris like falling stars. Others slipped through, too fast, too unpredictable, rewriting the laws of engagement in real time. The first impacts were not nuclear, but they were devastating. Precision strikes targeted critical infrastructure, communication nodes, military logistics hubs, energy grids. Shockwaves rattled windows hundreds of miles away, power flickered, cell networks strained, air traffic controllers froze all flights mid-sky, forcing emergency landings across the continent. People woke up to alarms, shaking buildings, and phones flooded with confused messages. Social media exploded with shaky videos of glowing trails in the sky, distant booms, terrified voices asking the same question again and again: what is happening? Before official statements could form, fear had already taken control. Hospitals activated emergency protocols. Doctors and nurses sprinted through corridors as the first injured arrived. Civilians caught near secondary blasts. Accidents caused by sudden blackouts, panic, induced chaos. National Guard units mobilized to protect bridges, tunnels, and government buildings. Police departments switched to full tactical readiness. America, a country built on the idea of security through strength, had been shaken awake by the realization that strength does not equal immunity. Across the ocean in Tehran, hardened rooms glowed with screens showing live feeds and satellite imagery. Iranian commanders watched the unfolding chaos in silence. The decision had been made long before this night. This was not an emotional reaction. It was calculated. Years of sanctions, covert operations, cyber attacks, assassinations, and regional pressure had led to this moment. From Iran's perspective, this strike was a declaration that the era of one-sided dominance was over. They believed the United States had pushed too far, crossed too many invisible lines, and underestimated how much pressure a nation could endure before snapping. This was not meant to conquer America. It was meant to shock it. Back in Washington, the president sat surrounded by advisors, generals, and intelligence chiefs. Screens showed damage assessments updating by the second. Some attacks had been intercepted successfully. Others had reached their targets. Casualty numbers were still unclear, but the human cost was undeniable. The question hanging in the room was heavier than any weapon. How does a superpower respond when surprised? Military planners moved with ruthless efficiency. Carrier strike groups shifted positions in dark oceans. Submarines received encrypted orders. Strategic bombers were placed on alert. Cyber Command unleashed countermeasures, probing Iranian networks, disrupting communications, blinding radar systems. Space assets adjusted orbit, watching for additional launches. At the same time, diplomats scrambled. Allies demanded answers. NATO called emergency meetings. European capitals filled with protests as citizens feared their cities might be next. Stock markets collapsed. Oil prices spiked violently. The global economy began to shake, reminding everyone that war does not respect borders. The president addressed the nation as soon as stable communication lines were restored. Her voice was steady, but the weight behind her words was unmistakable. She confirmed that the attack originated from Iran and associated networks. She promised defense. She promised justice. She promised that America would not be intimidated, but behind the speech, doubt lingered. Retaliation could mean escalation. Escalation could mean total war, and total war, in a world filled with nuclear weapons and fragile alliances, could mean the end of everything. As night fell again, fear spread faster than missiles. Every radar blip triggered alarms. Every loud noise sent hearts racing. Parents held children tighter. Soldiers prepared for orders they prayed would never come. Inside Iran, the mood was tense, not celebratory. Citizens understood the cost of defying a superpower. Air defenses were reinforced. Underground facilities sealed. Cities prepared for retaliation. There was pride, but also dread. Then, unexpectedly, a message arrived. Through neutral intermediaries, Iran signaled willingness to pause. They claimed their objective had been achieved. Further escalation, they warned, would spiral beyond control. Talks were possible, or destruction was inevitable. The president faced the most dangerous decision of her life: strike back immediately and satisfy public anger, risking a global war, or pause, open dialogue, and face accusations of weakness, while hoping the fragile thread of diplomacy would hold. She chose restraint. Military forces remained on high alert, weapons still aimed, fingers still near triggers. But no counterstrike was launched. Instead, diplomats worked through the night. The United Nations convened an emergency session filled with shouting, accusations, and fear. Behind closed doors, quieter conversations took place, driven not by pride but by survival. Days passed. No second wave came. Slowly, the world exhaled. Damage assessments revealed the true cost. Lives lost, families shattered, infrastructure scarred. America began the long process of recovery, not just rebuilding cities, but rebuilding confidence. Iran faced renewed isolation, internal pressure, and global condemnation. The balance of power shifted, subtly but permanently. Analysts would debate for decades who was right, who provoked whom, who blinked first. Historians would dissect every decision, every missile trajectory, every sentence spoken behind closed doors. But for ordinary people, the memory was simpler. They remembered the night they went to sleep in peace and woke up to war. They remembered the sky on fire. They remembered the fear. There had been no warning. There had been no mercy. And the world had come terrifyingly close to ending itself. That night became a reminder carved into history that silence can be the deadliest signal of all, that power invites challenge, and that war, once unleashed, listens to no one.